the Chamber to present this workshop. Again, my name is Glenn Gray. I am with Symbiosys Consulting in a business development role. I am joined here today with Trion Koudoufaris, who is our lead developer, implementer, designer for all our e-commerce efforts. So Trion will actually be the one doing the build of the e-commerce site of the online store, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Just to go over a couple of things at the start, and Elise, thanks for mentioning the partnership between the county and Shopify. I think that's very important for everyone to know about. Honestly, that's how we got connected with the Chamber to put this event together. Is we've done a lot of work with Shopify for our clients. We're a member of the county Chamber, and again, I think it's been a great partnership so far, and we look forward to continuing that. For today's workshop, just from an overview perspective, obviously we think it's imperative for a small business to have an effective online store. And again, as was advertised on the website and on the county Chamber website and in other places, these are the topics we're gonna cover today. Just a brief why we think you need an online store, what the benefits of an online store are. And then we're going to cover the ABCs. What do you need to get started? What makes an effective e-commerce site? As we get into the build, as Trion gets into the actual build, we'll discuss hints, tips, and tricks. And we do want to leave time at the end for any questions. At the end of the session, the county Chamber and Symbiosys, we're more than happy to set up a one-on-one, 30-minute conversation or so if there are specifics that you'd like us to take a look for around your individual situation. So with that in mind, we'll just get rolling along. Again, just some points on why we think it's important to have an online store. I don't think any of these points are new news to anybody. We've all seen the tremendous growth in e-commerce capability and e-commerce sales over the past years. COVID has only accelerated that need. And what we have seen is that for businesses, for small businesses, whether you want to call it Main Street, walk-ins, mom and pops, the ability to have an online store really lets you scale beyond what you have today. So if growth is in your goals and objectives, we frankly, I don't know of a better way to do it than to have an online store. It's the most effective way. Let me also say that I've been in technology over 30 years, and I've never seen technology retreat, in the sense that even if some online sales stores aren't effective, this is not going to go away. The only thing that changes is the pace or the acceleration of the change to online commerce. And so the need for small businesses to get in that game, I think, is just magnified by the fact that technology constantly changes. And COVID really has just accelerated that pace. Obvious benefits: your products are available 24/7 to be purchased. I think, if I was redoing this slide, I would add the words "to be purchased" at the end of that first bullet. You don't have to talk to the client; they can do this all themselves. Obviously, it allows you to reach a new audience. The ability to have very targeted marketing campaigns, very targeted sales incentives, all of those, whether you want to call it marketing outreach, target new customers, all of those things become available with an online platform like Shopify. It also gives you the ability to create trust and brand awareness. Folks can write reviews. You can put programs together such that maybe you have your walk-in folks do a try and buy, or you give them samples and ask them to write reviews. Obviously, they know you and you know them, so there's immediate trust there. And finally, we'll talk on the marketing side. You'll hear the term omni-channels. You want to be able to sell to a client or sell to a customer when they're interested in buying, and through whatever channel, whether it's online, in person, again, at their convenience. You want to be able to sell to them at their convenience. And you can also continue their experience beyond that first purchase. You now know who they are, where they are, especially if you've got email capabilities built in there. You can send them offers, send them sales opportunities, upsell opportunities, all become possible through this online store capability. Now I'm going to turn it over to Treon, and he's going to take you through at a high level the ABCs of what an effective e-commerce platform looks like. Treon?
Thanks, Glenn. So what you see here is a high level map of where your online store would fall uh, in your sort of sales ecosystem. Now, a lot of these aren't necessarily things you have to worry about from the start, but it's just good to know. I mean, so right, you'll see in the middle is e-commerce platform. That's Shopify. Is essentially that's the engine that where you're going to build your online store, and then uh, other things feed into that. So and we'll kind of delve into this a little bit more when we're building the site. But at the center is your e-commerce platform, and then off of that you can sell in other areas, right? You can have an eBay store, you could sell on Amazon, and you can tie all those into your Shopify site. Um, there is your payment gateway, and that essentially is um, how how you want your payments delivered to you. Um, you could tie accounting software into your Shopify site. You can have a third party uh, vendor dealing with your shipping and managing your inventory. There's all kinds of things that your e-commerce platform is kind of at the center of. Another thing too, online marketing tools. I mean, we'll get into a little bit of that as well, but you'll want to look into um, online marketing tools that tie into your e-commerce. Whether that's, I mean, that could be social media, that could be a blog, or that could be um, search engine marketing. All of these things kind of work together uh, to help grow your e-commerce business. So basically, before you start building your site, a, a couple of things you should think about beforehand. You want to think about how a domain, and so basically a domain is what the URL or of your website is. So mybusiness.com would be would be your domain. Now, if you already have a website and you want your online store to be separate, maybe you would maybe consider a subdomain. So mystore.com would be your business, and then maybe you would create a shop.mystore.com that you would tie into your e-commerce site. You also, before you get started, you'll want to have a logo, and you can kind of, logo is a great start, but you could also maybe want to think about the color palette of your brand, and fonts. You want to think about other things like that. um, you want to have photographs of your products. You want to have some website content, that you want to have. The content would be a combination of photography, text, that a couple paragraphs of describing your product, and maybe some background about the story of your product. You'll want to think about an e-commerce platform. Today we're going to be talking about Shopify, but there are other e-commerce platforms to consider. And then once you've built your site, you'll definitely want to think about a marketing plan. Whether that's going hard on social media, promoting it on Twitter, Instagram, or creating a ton of content with a blog. or just or working with a specialist on search engine marketing. Like we said, so just we talked about this briefly, but yeah, a domain essentially is the name of your website. Without having a name, the only way we would be able to access websites would be to just type in, IP addresses, and I can't really remember numbers very well, so I'm glad that the domain name system exists.
I could never do it.
Um,
Would never ever do it.
I wouldn't go anywhere. But yeah, if you need a domain, there's plenty of places you can get them from. I mean, the big one is, GoDaddy. You can go to Google Domains. You can actually also you can purchase a domain directly from Shopify as well. And again, once you have a domain, you can create subdomains in case you want to keep your informational website and your online store separate. And again, uh, you want to have a logo. Now, there's a if you don't have a logo, there's resources online. You can always go to a website like Fiverr, just to get started, get a logo for your brand, or of course you can work with an agency. And uh, depending on your budget, you can kind of you can try put a logo together yourself. Helvetica honestly is always a really good font, and always tends to look professional. I mean, at worst case, if you just write your company's name in Helvetica, that's going to look nice. You can try a site like Fiverr, where you can get a pretty good price logo, or again, you can work with an agency.
There's nothing that says you can't use your existing logo.
Oh yeah, I guess this is
This
just
is
from
if you
scratch.
didn't have, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I assume a lot of people are going to already have maybe a business with their branding already in place.
On the other hand, if you were looking to change it, this would not be a bad time to do that. That's for sure. Because once you start that branding process, it's a little difficult to change. Once you've become known with a certain brand, I think it's very difficult to move off of that brand and onto something else. But and again, that's for the marketing experts as well. All right.
Yeah, and of course you're going to want to have some product photos. Generally, when you're taking a product photo, you want your product, you want it against a white background, and you also want it to be as high res as possible. Most e-commerce platforms, Shopify included, when I go to a product page, I have the ability to zoom in on the product photo. So you'll want to take a picture that's very, as high resolution as you can. You want to have, good lighting, shoot it from multiple angles just so you can have some choices to pick the best one. No flash. You want to try and have good natural lighting, because that's generally how your product, it's going to be a better reflection of how your product is going to look. There's a whole bunch. There are kits online, like if you go to Amazon, you can get like light box kits that are perfect for creating product photos. I mean, they're pretty much these wonderfully little backlit boxes. You put your product in there, and it's pretty much ready for you to snap some pictures. So with website content, and so when I say website content, I mean the actual paragraph text, and the photography and imagery, and you want them to complement each other, right? You want your photography to complement what you're saying, and you want what you're saying to kind of back up the photography. You want things to kind of flow into each other a bit. Generally, the big things when you're thinking about writing for your site, you want to write nice homepage text. You want like a nice direct, concise sentence that tells people exactly what it is you provide, and then you want a paragraph to maybe back up that initial statement. You also want to create an about us page where where it's a great opportunity for you to tell your story. And FAQ pages tend, when people do come to sites, FAQs and about us pages tend to be one of the first pages they go in order to learn more about you before they're ready to purchase. Um, in terms of photography for your site, again, you want to find high resolution images, and in general, you want to avoid necessarily, you don't you want to be careful th- that your photos aren't, cheesy. You don't want people, smiling or doing these, big gestures. You generally want to show people in action. So, you know, um, if you're selling, if you're selling t-shirts, maybe you want to show some pictures of people casually wearing your t-shirts, so that maybe they can see themselves in that person. You can, in terms of getting, you can take your own pictures. I mean, of course, but if you can also get stock photos. I mean, a lot of some great places that that I use. I like iStock Photo. I like Adobe Stock. Unsplash.com. It has free, pretty good free photographs. So I mean, you can use that as a resource as well. So yeah, like we touched upon previously, e-commerce platform is just a fancy name for your online, for the engine that drives your online store. There's a lot of options. I mean, we're going to be looking at Shopify today, but you can WordPress. You can certainly create a store on WordPress with WooCommerce, AmeriCommerce, and there's um, all kinds of other options for you to consider. We just happen to like Shopify. So now, while most now when you excuse me, when you uh, get started, with Shopify, they'll the payment gateway, they'll have a default payment gateway. Payment gateway is basically how do you get paid? How do you get money from your sales? And generally speaking, each transaction will cost you 3% of the order plus around 30 cents. So, what we'll look at with Shopify is, yeah, Shopify out of the box can handle payments for you, but you might want to shop around. Shopify works really well with all kinds of payment gateways like PayPal, Square. So you might want to shop around. So then, yeah, and I guess some things to think about as well when you are comparing e-commerce platforms. You want to look at, how customizable they are. You want to look at, what kind of features they have. Um, you want to look at how easy they are to use. I mean, these a
Some
lot of
of
these
them say, yeah, some of them say no tech skills required.
yeah. And if you are, and that's the thing, if you are a techie, if you do have some programming background, maybe an e-commerce platform that is more customizable with with some programming, might be the right fit for you. They all kind of fall on the spectrum. Um, a lot of them will kind of tell you what marketing tools they include. From support is also important. You want to be able to reach out to people if you do find yourself kind of in a corner. And yeah, I mean, yeah. About another thing to consider too is templates that are available. Template being a certain look. So like what we'll see with Shopify is that there's a whole lot of templates you can use. So like if you're running like a restaurant, there's like there's a food service there's a template that's perfect for food service. If you're t-shirt, a fan, high-end t-shirt store, there's a template for that. An everyday casual t-shirt store, there's templates for that. So and all these platforms are going to have their own templates that they've curated. So so a lot of these things go into are things for you to consider as you're picking a platform. So anyway,
I'm sorry, Trion, were you done there?
yeah, I was done. Yep.
Okay.
So at this point, I think we're good to just kind of dive into the actual website.
Actually, so Trion, as you're switching things over, if this also might be a good opportunity to kind of survey our attendees today to see where they're at. Just by a raise of hands, how many folks currently have a Shopify store? You can just raise your hand so we can see. Use the little raise your hand feature. One. All right. We have one folks that has a Shopify store. How many folks on the call are preparing for a Shopify store based on this this webinar? Just raise a hand. All right. Well, just as a reminder, so it looks like, is there anything else too? Like is anyone else using something different than Shopify? And or maybe you can just raise your hand. So a little raise your hand feature we can see. Looks like one person has an online store. So that's what we're working with now. Feel free to also throw where you're at in this process in the chat. So we can it'll just help us kind of guide this conversation. All right. Take it away, Trion.
All right, thank you very much. So we're going to start on the Emerging Enterprise Center and the Chamber's partner page with Shopify. So basically, we're just going to start with start with an email. So you just pick your password. We're going to call. So today we're building a water company. And that's it. We're going to create our store.
And for those who want to build alongside Trion today, I have thrown in the link that he just used for that 14-day free trial into the chat. And you can build alongside us and ask questions as you go while you have an expert with you.
Let me stop sharing for 1 second. Let me just, I don't know why it's not letting me. 1 second here.
Does anyone have any questions at this point while Trion's getting into Shopify? Again, use the chat function, right, Elise?
You can use your chat function and or raise your hand and I can unmute you. We'd love to know where you guys are at in this process or if you have questions.
Sorry, just 1 second.
Is anyone in the process of deciding which e-commerce platform to select for your business? Or are we all kind of on this call feeling like Shopify is the best solution? Feel free to throw that in the chat or raise your hand.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. I'll start sharing again. Okay. Yeah, my issue was I'd used an email address that I'd already used before. So so basically I typed in my password, and next step is the first step here is to tell us a little bit about yourself. So I'm just going to answer these questions. At this point, I'm just playing around. I'm just getting started, and again, we're going to create a fake water company website today. We're going to sell water bottles. So I'm just going to go with that food and drink. I hit next. I'm just going to put in. Actually, let me see what I use. Just going to put in a fake address. And enter my store. So now we're in the actual Shopify dashboard, and you'll notice just a quick glance here on the left are home orders. These are going to be maybe your day-to-day items that you're going to look at. You're going to be able to manage your products, customers, your orders, discounts, and we'll look at these in a little bit more detail. And at bottom left is settings, and we'll start here. Now, for the most part, a lot of these you're able to keep the default settings. You're not going to necessarily need to mess around with all of them, but we'll look at a couple. We'll talk about a couple of them. So we'll start here with general, and yeah, you'll want to put legal name of your company. So our name, our company is Mendenhall Water. The address is already in here, which is great. Currency is US dollars, which that works.
Trion, essentially this is all background information that doesn't necessarily need to change.
Yeah,
Correct?
exactly. So then once I'm done updating, I'm gonna go to general. Now just the locations, that's basically if you are managing inventory from multiple locations, you can actually add all your locations here. By default, it'll just be your address. So if you're going to be shipping from your home or from your business, you don't need to make any changes here. Now, in terms of plans, there's the Shopify Basic, which is about I believe $35 a month, and that's kind of what we recommend. There are other plans. I mean, there's also Shopify Plus, and that is really great if you're trying to manage inventory, not just from your online store, but also from a brick and mortar store. It's almost it's a pretty complete point of sales system at that point. So that's another option as you want to, as you're considering things that fit best for you. Payments, we'll look at payments. And by default, there's Shopify payments, and again, the rate that they're saying right now, around 2.4% plus 30 cents a transaction, and depending on another nice little bonus for some of the higher Shopify plans is that percentage does go down a few points. So it's, instead of 2 point, I believe the $35 plan is maybe like 2.6. So then as you go up, it goes down like 2.4. But again, like I said, you don't have to stick with Shopify. You can do there's PayPal, Amazon Pay. I mean, you have all kinds of options. You can shop around if you're inclined to do so. You can also, if you want to test out your shop, so if you want to make purchases without actually um, having to pay real money, you can go here and just click on bogus gateway, and that'll be your testing shop. Just before you launch, obviously be sure to turn that off. So,
all right, Treon, can you go back to payments for a second?
Sure.
You do have to complete the complete Shopify payment setup, though, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna have to go through that piece of the setup.
Yes, you absolutely have to pick one before you move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. And then there's a lot of other options here. Notifications. I mean, you can customize so when a customer makes a purchase, you'll get an email. You'll also be alerted under orders. You'll get an email. They'll
go ahead and open that one up, Treon.
Sure. So you can see these are all the messages that Shopify generates. So when an order gets canceled, when an order is invoiced, these are all messages that you can customize and you have full control over. Payment error. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say this is how you maintain that communication with your customers on an ongoing basis through the platform. That helps you really have that customer for life, if you will.
Yeah, and these all have default settings. I mean, pretty standard default settings. So again, if you don't, if you don't edit this, there's still a perfectly friendly message that's going to go out to customers. So you can create, and we'll look at this in products, but under products you can create, obviously you can create your default your products, but you can also create gift cards, and you can manage them here, like in terms of do they have an expiration date? Are they good forever? So you have that option as well in your store to sell gift cards to people. And as you see here, you can see you can manage the languages that your store will show up in. And files, this is basically just where all any images that you upload onto your website you can find them all here. You can
so that's a little storage section for putting all your information into Shopify.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to go get it from your hard drive or Google Drive or some other place. Correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then legal, I mean, that's pretty much your store's privacy policy, terms and conditions. So all the kind of legal pages that you normally see at the bottom of a website, in the footer. So Shopify manages that as well. Sales channels. So if you look at sales channels, generally by default, your default sales channel is going to be your online store, but you actually can add other channels. So you can you can add your eBay. You can add if you have eBay, or if you have a brick and mortar, you can add point of sale. Um, you can actually Facebook has a pretty cool tool where you can actually, so Facebook owns Instagram. So you actually, if your business has a Facebook or Instagram account, you can have direct links to your products on your Instagram page and on your Facebook page. So those are all different channels that would show up on your site if you wanted to add them.
But the default is just the Shopify.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Go to checkout. Sorry, I'm
No, I appreciate it. Okay, yeah. So for checkout, by default, generally when people buy something from you and they go to checkout, they're going to check out as a guest. And I guess that's, that's easier for them. I mean, that way they don't have to create an account. The downside, I mean, the upside though for saying that accounts are required is that you can track people's purchases over time. So then, so it might, but again, it's that choice of, okay, get more information. It means I'm asking more questions, which means more opportunity for people to kind of, check out of the checkout process, if you will. So that it's definitely something to think about, and it's the option available to you. Depending on the customer, we've had customers that keep accounts disabled because they just want people in and out. And as they grow their business and they want to really, it's important to them to track customers over time. Then they kind of move up to accounts being optional or required. Each tier gets you more information about your customer.
I can tell you personally that I always hate having to create an account until there's a warranty issue, and then I'm so thankful I have an account created. So whereas previously I might have, if I was building an online store, I might have just been happy with them checking out as guests. But now I'm fine with creating an account every time, because I understand it goes both ways. It helps me as the customer stay connected with the store that I've purchased from.
It's definitely a good option to have. And then you can customize the form a little bit here too, like making require the last name only. You can make all kinds of choices here in terms of what you want to ask. Yeah, so a lot of the defaults here I think are fine, but if you want to tweak them, they're available here under settings.
All right, Treon, I think I've diverted your attention enough. You should probably get on to the real stuff.
Yeah.
The meat of it.
No, that's cool. Those are important things to talk about. So if I go back to my home screen, we'll look at some of these real quick here. I mean, orders. I mean, this is where you go if you want to look at your orders. What's really cool here is that Shopify keeps track of abandoned checkouts. So if somebody is drops out of the checkout process halfway through, you have that information. And if they have an account with you, you can pretty much reach out to people directly and say, hey, I noticed you dropped off, I noticed you didn't, you were about to purchase something, you didn't. Here's a link to your order if you want to complete it. So the Shopify does really give you the tools to know not just who's buying, but who started to buy and then for whatever reason got sidetracked and didn't complete the order. There's also products, and actually, products are the basis of this store. So we're going to start right now. We'll add a product right now.
All right, Trion, I'm going to interrupt before
ahead.
you really jump back into creating the store. Anybody have any questions at this point? Just really from this main homepage, if you will, that lets you see all the functions and capabilities off, that menu there on the left-hand side. Any questions at this point before Trion gets back into, actually creating a store? And again, I guess hand up or use the chat function.
Right, I'm not seeing any hands up.
Yeah, go ahead, Trion.
Okay. So we will we'll add a product. So I have some content here created. So we're going to create we're going to create a product listing for our single water bottle. And generally with the title, you want to be, I didn't spell iceberg right. You want to be as descriptive as possible. I mean, in terms of good search engine optimization, you want to, you want good descriptions on all your products, all your pages. It definitely helps in Google in terms of properly ranking your site. So let's see here. I have have a description here of the product. I am going to want, so right now, if I'm not ready to launch my product yet, I'll keep it in draft mode, but I'm going to make it active. I'm ready for this to show up on the store. So as we're scrolling down,
Actually, Trion, can I jump into about the description?
Yeah,
just for clarification around what that means when you have what is a clear description. So for products, you want to answer all questions. You want to answer size, material, anything that they could be searching for. So so when in that product description, you do want to make sure that you're kind of putting all of the details regarding what the product is made from, because they're not physically seeing it, if there's any kind of physical feel. You really want to use this to really give them if they were touching it, feeling it, seeing it, what material are in it. So this is a big portion of when he goes to search engine optimization, making sure that you're putting those details in. So if anyone has questions too of best practices or how they can improve, feel free. We want to make this interactive for you and make sure that you're improving how your own site is functioning. Okay, sorry.
No, that's important. That's important to know. So we'll go ahead and add our product picture. So let's see here. And now in terms of pricing, we'll say $5.99. Yeah, maybe it's a little steep, but it is a pretty fancy bottle. So we'll
That'd be some good water.
Yeah, it's from, you found the icebergs. It's the best.
Hey.
So you can also keep track of how much it costs you per bottle, and then Shopify keeps track of that, and you can see your margins here. If you are, if these are living in a warehouse, or you can also give them an SKU. You can also track quantity, and you can choose to continue selling even when you're out of stock. So, for some businesses, it may not make sense to track quantity. I'm sure for some people, if you're selling T-shirts and you have a printer, in your house, and you only print the T-shirt after it gets ordered, then tracking quantity may not make sense for you as a metric. So we'll just say we have 1,000 of these available. And yes, this is a physical product. If you are selling a digital product, you can Shopify. You can sell digital products. You can sell books and PDFs and services. So in that case, you would uncheck this. By checking this, I now have to enter. It's a physical product, so now it has weight to it. So I'm just going to say quarter pound. United States. So now variants. This is a pretty cool option. So if you are selling a T-shirt, you click on this, and you can add options for different sizes. So then on the store, so then when I go to this product page, I would then be able to pick my size. So you'll see here what the actual search engine listing will look like. And yeah, I'm happy with that. You can edit it if you want the SEO listing to be different than the content on the page. You can edit that as well here. So let's just look at some other stuff about products. So as you grow your business, or if you have a ton of products right now, you're going to want to put them into some kind of collection, or product type. So even though we only sell water right now, maybe in the future I'll sell juices or T-shirts and a vendor is a lot of times you might be selling products on behalf or in partnership with another company. So at that point, it is important to keep track of your vendors, and you can tie a different vendor to each product, as you need. We'll just
is that like an example of, like, if, for instance, you're a water brand, right? So maybe you're doing Fiji water, like Fiji brand, so you can do different brands here.
Yeah.
And then people can filter by the brands. Okay.
Exactly. So again, collections. This Shopify. So yeah, collections are groupings, but Shopify uses these groupings to organize the products visually. So if I create a collection, Shopify will generate a collection page, and that's really helpful in terms of, hey, if I want to share this specific collection on social media, or that becomes very helpful. So we're going to put this in a collection. Let's see if I can add it. So right now, we'll just say there's a homepage collection already created. So we'll add it to that because we want this to show up on the homepage. So I think we are good to go in terms of this product. So I'm gonna save it. And we can go back to our homepage. So you actually have so Shopify does try to keep you along a path to launching your site. So as you can see here, I added a product, I get a nice little checkbox. And although I didn't actually set up payments, I set up a staging one. It at least recognized that I looked at it, and I get a checkbox the other two. The next step would
Treon, take a breath and take a sip of water, and let's see if there's any questions out there. Since this is all on you.
We are encouraging everyone to make this interactive. So if you have any questions that, we have a kind of a expert here, you want to make sure that you're getting your questions answered, feel free to raise your hand at any time and throw them into the chat, and we'll make sure we get to them. All right.
Okay, Trion, rock
Okay.
and roll.
All right, great. So let's see here. So, okay, we looked at products. Again, you could keep track of customers. Um, so if your customers are creating an account, you'll be able to see them here. You'll also be able to import and add new customers as well. And analytics is really cool. I mean, let you know your total sales over time. You can export and create reports based on that data. Um, you can report based on which vendor, which vendor has sold the most products, and there's a lot of great analytics to keep track of in this area here.
And these are out of the box capabilities from Shopify.
Mhm. And again, yeah, with marketing, you can create campaigns. You can automate. You don't necessarily need to do this out of the box, though. I mean, right from the start. These are things that you can look into as you grow your business. Um, Discounts. I think really, this is a really cool feature. This is a pretty handy. This is just where you create discount codes. You can create, the discount code could be, hey, 10% off your first purchase, or during the holidays, $20 off every order. You can start them here. You can end them here as well. Um, yeah, apps. They're pretty much plugins that you can use depending on what your needs are. One example of an app would be, like I said before, Facebook has an app for both Facebook and Instagram that allows you to sell your products directly on those social media platforms. And this is where you would manage those apps right here.
You can also add in selling on Amazon too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one, I always find that to be one of the, I think, important features of Shopify is that you can have all of these channels in one and you're managing from one channel.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, Amazon, eBay. There's also eBay app where you can manage. You can tie that with your Shopify site as well. So we're going to start customizing. We're going to go to an online store. Now,
Can you go back to that check checkbox
oh
screen
yeah,
that had
sure.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So this is how keeping track of how far along your store is to completion.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead.
So yeah, so customize. Next. Yeah. So if, the theme is generally what is the look of your site, and there's all kinds of themes you can use. So there are there's a collection of free themes, for instance, depending on what your business is. So if you'll see there's a theme that's great for for fashion, for watches. You'll see here for adventure, for outdoor gear. So there's all kinds of themes that are available. Here's a pasta theme for your, if you have a restaurant where you're selling food online. So you have your choice, for a lot of different looks that you can customize. All these are pretty customizable. And then if you don't see anything you like, you can also look at paid themes. They generally are about 50. They can be, they can be as low as 20. They exist at all kinds of different price ranges. I've seen them go as high as about $200 for a theme. It just depends what you think best fits your business. So we're going to work with the default theme here is debut. We're going to work with that. Now, before I bring everything together and bring things together in a homepage, I'm just going to create I'm going to create an About Us page. So this is just, an About Us page is great. It helps. I mean, I think it helps give a good background to your product, but also what it does, I think, is it sets the tone. I think a lot of times for your brand as well. So if you're if you're serious, you'll definitely want to write in a serious tone, and if you're a more playful tone, you want to have that represented in what you write as well.
Again, Treon, you can take this right from your existing website, correct? If you have a brochure site,
Yeah,
you can just use the same About Us page.
absolutely. So I'm going to, okay, I'm just gonna drop this here. And so if you'll notice, there's two templates. There's page and there's contact page. So basically, if I select contact page, it'll add a form to this page, like a generic contact form, like name, email, and enter your name, enter your email, enter a message. So we'll just save this, and then let's go back to our. So then you can also edit your navigation. So this is what shows up at the top of the page, how people traverse and interact with your site. So we'll go to navigation, and there's a menu that shows up at the top, and there's a menu that shows up in the footer and the bottom of the site. So we'll start with main menu. And right now there's only two links. There's home and catalog. I don't really like the word catalog. I'm going to rename it order now, a more direct call to action. So people know that when I click here, I'm ordering. Catalog. I mean, most people understand what a catalog is, but I think having your buttons and your links be more call to action allows the user really to put to get a sense of momentum as they're going through your site, that they're driving towards something, and I think that's very important. So then we're also going to add the About Us page. So you just add a menu item, and just going to call it About Mendenhall. It's fine. And then as soon as I click, it's going to start. I can look for my page. I don't have to remember what the link is or anything like that. I just go to pages, and there's my page. I'm just going to add it there and save. And then now we're going to customize. If I go back to online store, we're going to customize our homepage, our site. So I'm going to click on the customize button. And as you can see now, here's my homepage, and this is the default look. As I start adding things, you're going to see this change slowly, and so we're going to start with the header. And I can choose my logo. Right now it says Mendenhall Water Store. I want to replace that with my logo. So I'm going to click select image. I'm going to upload, and here's my logo that I have. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to press select. Now that logo is really tiny, so I can customize it. There's a little slider here. I can make it, make it a little bigger. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now there is an announcement bar that's optional. So if I show announcement bar, you'll see right here, announce something, right? So I can say, free shipping, free, as an example, I'll say free shipping for, sorry, orders over $20. All right. If you created a discount code, this would be a good place to put that discount code, right? You know, where it's, you know, enter 10 at checkout for 10% off. You know, this would be a good place to enter that as well. So now this announcement bar, I can only show it on the homepage, or if I uncheck it, this will now show up. That announcement bar will show up on every page. So I'm happy with the header. Now so you'll see there's a ton of sections here, and you don't need all of them. So the ones you don't need, you can just see this eyeball, this eye icon. You can, if you click on it, you'll hide it. So if I click here, see it hides. So the areas that I don't need, I can hide. Or if I need to add new sections, I can add them. You know, I can add a custom content where I can drop text and images in. I can add a blog post. We'll talk about blogs as well. We can talk about it now real quick. I mean, Shopify does have blog capabilities, and blogs are a great way to build SEO, to build equity on your website, because generally speaking, the more content your site has, the more of a splash it could make in social media, not social media. The more content your site has, the more of a splash you can make on search engines. So a blog is you know, it's a good tool to have, as long as you are maintaining it regularly. You know, whether you're putting up one article a month, you know, whatever frequency you decide. Having a blog that you don't update that in a year, I think does more harm than good to your overall brand. So if you do decide to have a blog, again, try and pick an interval, that you can live with and stick to it. Whether that's once a month, whether that's once every 2 months or once a week, you know, try and stick to a schedule. So we're going to start with our top, our area here. So this is going to be the first thing that people see. So again, kind of what we said before, we want imagery and text to complement each other. So I have a picture here I want to use, and it's a woman drinking refreshing water and in an iceberg. And I think that maybe it's a little too literal, but I think it does a good job of letting people know exactly what kind of website this is when they come onto it. So I'm happy with that image. I'm going to click select. You have some options here. You can align the image to the top, to the middle, the bottom. By default, this section is full width, so it takes the full width of the site. But if I want to constrain it, I can click fixed width, and you'll see there's white areas to the right and to the left of this. I like the full width, so I'm going to keep it full width. You can also change how big this section is. I like large just because it's the first thing people see, and I want it to be prominent. So I'm going to keep it large, but I can go extra small as well. So I have some text, I have some content already prepared. So I'm going to go here to my content sheet, and so the first message people will see, it's kind of my bold statement, if you will, is, you know, this is the purest water from the world's greatest source. And generally with a homepage, you want to have some kind of a very direct statement, and then you want to be able to back it up and have maybe just a little bit more background defending your initial statement. So here in this statement, we go in a little more detail that Mendenhall water is hand sourced from untouched mineral-free icebergs of Newfoundland. And then also, when people come on your site, so you want immediately that you want to tell them what your product is, but you also want to tell them what you want them to do. So when people come on the site, I want them to order water. So I am going to add a order now button. And I'm going to link that to, I can link it to a collection if I have multiple products, but I have one product, so I'm just going to link it to my single bottle of water. So I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go back. Let's see here. So I don't really need this section. So I'm going to hide it. I'm going to hide this section. So here's where I can put my products. So I'm going to click here. I'm just one. And see, I'm going to select a collection, and these were under my the water bottle that I created was under my was under the homepage collection. So I'm just going to click on that, and there's my product. And you'll notice I put in the full price, and then I put in, and then it shows the full price and then the new price, so that people will really get the sense that they're getting a discount. So I'm going to select that. Now you'll see here the button here. It's up. By default, it's white text on black background. The red, the on sale text is red. I'm going to be able to change all these. Personally, not personally, but there are studies as well that show that people generally associate the color red with error, mistake. So me personally, I wouldn't want to have this be red. I'll probably change this to a blue color when we get to that section. You want it to stand out, but you also don't want people to think they did something wrong. So I'm happy with this section. So all right, so now I'm going to have, after the product, if people still need a little bit more information about the brand, I'm going to create another section here that gives a little bit more of a detailed shot of the product and a little bit more background, and that will link them to the About Us page. So I'm going to edit this section. I'm going to, again, just go to upload, select my image. So here I have this shot of a bottle of water on a bed of ice to just make it look extra refreshing. I'm going to go over there. Give it a second to load the image. So I'm going to select that. And again, I can change the layout. I want to go a little bigger, just so that people can see the full bottle. And then I do have content prepared. So let's see. So I got this little message here just to give a little bit more background, and then link, and then drive people toward the About Us page if they need more information. One nice thing that Shopify does is if you upload a background photo like this, and it's really light, and it's going to be hard for white text to pop out from it, Shopify automatically will darken that image so that the white text will show properly. So we're going to add a button here as well. We're just going to say learn. We're just going to want people to learn more. And I'm going to link that to the About Us page. So I'm going to go to Pages, About, and yep. So you can also add, so if we keep scrolling down, you can add testimonials. Pretty easy to add. You can add as many as you want. And there's 3 right now. You can, yeah, I mean, they're pretty easy to edit. You would put in your, let me just, I have a couple prepared, so I'll just put them in there real quick. Again, so Testimonials are really great to a great way to build trust. You ultimately will always want to try and build as much trust as you can with your customers. Um, Testimonials, if you have, partner brands, you want to display their logo on your site. Things that eh, things like that really build trust. So we're just gonna pop these in here real quick.
Also, to add to that point, 90% of people buy from people, which is another reason why you want to have those reviews, social, social channels where people can easily share your products out. People like to buy from people, not necessarily brands. So having your product being reinforced by those who've purchased and use and love it is a really important piece to selling more product.
So I have a question for the attendees. This entire section, this customization of the homepage, is fairly critical, and we've been using content that's already prepared, just in a way to speed the session along. Do you have any questions here about content creation? Maybe we should be spending more time here, a little more focused on your specific situations. Because I think from a time perspective, I think we've got plenty of time to get through the actual completion of the site. So rather than have questions at the end, again, I think this section is so critical. It might be worth some time here. And again, to facilitate the creation of the site, we've just used content that Treon's already prepared. Anybody have any specific questions on content?
Or can we know what products or services that you're selling? Yeah, feel free to throw in the chat what product or services you're selling, or raise your hand.
It's a quiet group. Maybe we should have sent them bottles of water before we started. Thank you, Bob.
Does anyone have any special needs or concerns? Are you a new business launching? Or are you an existing business trying to kind of pivot to an online sales?
So Bob has asked the question, do we look at these differently if they're not a physical product?
I would say yes.
I would say if it's not a physical product, the description probably comes all that much more important if you can't see it.
And also the layout of if you're selling a service, you may want to show your different features of your service, like what's included at either different tiers or levels, better, best, whatever, sure, premium, whatever you want to do. There's definitely different ways that I can envision personally how you'd want to consider laying out your page.
Yeah, even if you have a digital product, though, I see that for a lot of product pages, even if it's a digital product, they'll still make some kind of a physical image. Like, if for the most part, most of Office Microsoft's products are digital downloads at this point. But when I go to a Microsoft product page, I'm still going to see a box that's a picture of a box that says Office on it or Word on it. And so even if you have a digital product, sometimes it's still good to think about, well, just so somebody visually has something to tie to your product, maybe you do still think about what a relevant physical representation would be of that digital product.
And Treon, to get back to something that you said early on, to have a photograph that shows action of that service being performed probably would be very important. I would think would be very important. In our case, with IT services, it's someone doing some programming, someone working with a client, solving a business problem, things along those lines. A collaborative approach to problem solving, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, photography, imagery are really important, regardless of if your product is physical or digital or service. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, where are we at with the presentation?
Oh yeah, so we're working our way down, building out this homepage. Right now we're at the gallery section. So if you want to, I mean, this almost works like an Instagram feed almost. I mean, you could put in all kinds of images here if you have them. I'm not going to use them today, so I'm going to hide it. And now we're kind of at the footer. You will see here there's a place for people to sign up, and I think that's pretty cool to sign up for your newsletter. They would get you would get an alert when people sign up, and you can tie this. So I mean, we'll touch on this when we talk a little bit about marketing. But one of the channels that you can use to market is email marketing. There's actually some free resources. I mean, yeah, we'll talk Mailchimp, for instance. I believe up to 10,000. You can have a mailing list up to 10,000 people for free. And this is a great place to generate that email list. So we've pretty much built this page. Next thing is you'll see this section, you'll see this item called theme settings. So we'll take a look here. So under theme settings, I can customize the colors that I'm using for the site. I can customize the typography. Typography includes font. I can customize how people search. I can also add my social media. So I can add links to my brand's Twitter, Facebook, and all that. Favicon. For those who are not sure what favicon is the image that shows up on the browser tab. So if you look at the tab at the very top of the browser that says Mendenhall Water Store, you'll see there's a Shopify icon. You can replace that with your own icon. So let's go through these. So colors, like I said, I'm okay with the dark gray black text for the body and the heading. Like I said, sale price, I'm not happy with the red. I think red is a color that is associated with error. It's a color that it's been reinforced in us as a color of error since we got back our math quiz in kindergarten. Or at least me, I wasn't very good at math in kindergarten, so I had a lot of red marks on my papers. So we're going to go with the blue.
So basically, this is a section where people would take their branding colors and make sure that the colors align with their brand. Same with their typography.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Absolutely. So I mean, a lot of these defaults are fine for my needs today, but I want to make the buttons. So I want the buttons to be kind of gold to tie into the gold that's in the logo. So I'm just going to change that to a gold color that I've selected. So now you see, so now you've seen that that color's changed. The label order now, the labels are white. I'm gonna make it black.
So for our attendees, I think the most important piece of what he's showing is that you do not need to know CSS or any kind of coding to modify and customize your own site.
Exactly. You can just pick from a color picker. Exactly. So I'm pretty happy with colors. Typography, again,
Yeah.
you'll want to pick a font that is just, you want it to be easy to read, because I mean, in terms of fonts, you can see here, in terms of the options, there's a lot of, more stylized ones. There's different shapes and sizes. So you want to make sure whatever it is you pick, and you have a ton. I mean, yeah, I can load more.
Yeah, Trion, well, Helvetica's good. We can.
Yeah, we'll stick with Helvetica. Helvetica is a very web-friendly font, so we're going to stick with Helvetica. But again, you find the font that you want to find, the font that's readable and that is that complements your brand. So yeah, these yeah, these options, I think, become a little more important when you have more products. I mean, obviously we have one product, but you have a lot of products. You'll want to have product suggestions, becomes a much more important feature. We can tie in our social media. So I'm just going to tie it to their Symbiosys social media. So just put it right here. I'm just going to do Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And as you can see, you have a lot of options. Let's see here. Like I said, favicon, that's the little icon that shows up at the top tab. I have one prepared. So generally, if you upload any image, it'll size it down to the proper to the proper size. So I have a favicon right here. It's just the head of the lion. And then yeah, I can look at add to cart notifications. So basically, yeah, I would keep this checked. Basically, when somebody adds a product to their cart, they'll see a little message that says, "Hey, you successfully added this to your cart," or some variation of that. I think that's important. I think every step of the way, you want to validate that people are doing things successfully. It can be if you click on something and nothing happens, as a user, I start to worry. Oh, did it work? Oh, I better do it again. So having these messages, notifications show up, I think is very important, and I personally would leave that checked. So Shopify's checkout process is, it's a well-oiled machine. Shopify does a lot of testing on their checkout process to make sure people make it to the actual payment piece of it, pretty easily without any obstacles. So you don't necessarily need to customize it that much. The one thing I would do is I would add the logo. So we have the logo already uploaded, so I'm going to select the logo, and you can add a background image. I mean, you can add some more imagery. I don't necessarily think I need it. So I'm gonna, because I want the site to be, I want the font to be the same wherever I am on the site. I'm gonna make sure that the font for the checkout process is set to Helvetica. to match my other pages. So I think we're ready to check this page out. I'm going to save my changes. And then let's just take a quick look at the built site. So here we go. So, you know, my announcements at the top, my navigation has properly shows up here. Here's my shopping cart. Here's search, my products, and then the quotes, and then my social media here shows up as well. So the social media links I added will show up at the bottom of every page. So let's check out. We'll look at a product page real quick. So I can add it to my cart. I can buy it now. And as I said before, you want to take a as high resolution as you can of your photo, because as I roll over it, I am able to zoom in on it. And then here's my description here that we entered before. And then let's look at our About Us page that we created. And that's the site right there. So we can, I believe we can, Glenn, I guess maybe
Yeah.
we can take some questions, or we can go back to the presentation.
Let's leave this up for a minute, just to see if there are any questions.
Sure.
Again, feel free to raise your hand or throw your questions into the chat. So I know we did have one question before. When do you want to hire a company like yourselves? You know, you can, obviously we're showing you how to do it yourself. We're showing that it's easy. You don't need, you are capable of creating your own website. There's no coding required. We wanted to give you kind of the behind the scenes look. But when is it that you want to hire someone to assist you?
I think let me answer that in a couple of ways. First, I think there's the technology piece, if you will, and then there's the well, I guess you could say that there's three components. There's the technology piece, there's the business process piece, and there's the marketing piece. You know, to help with SEO, SEM, and Treon, and even Elise, jump in. On the technology piece, I think the more complicated your business is you know, and the more options you're going to consider, that's when you want some technology help in terms of setting up these sites. The other thing is, these sites do require ongoing maintenance. You know, as you add products, you're going to have to update your site. As you add order options or delivery options, shipping options, as you add vendors, you know, your site's got to be updated with you know, with that new information. And again, depending on the size and the complexity of your business, it will get done quicker and faster with a professional than it. And as someone who's you know, done things like this himself, even I'll call in the professionals that, hey, look, I don't, you know, this is beyond what I have time to learn or figure out. I think time becomes a big consideration in your choice of whether you're going to do it yourself or get a professional.
Yeah, it can be really hard. It can be really hard to focus on growing your business when you're constantly having to log in to update this page or update that page or update this product.
Treon, thank you, because you know, that I mean, we have a client who spends a lot of time generating his billing and maintaining his infrastructure. And on the one hand, he's proud of that. On the other hand, he constantly complains that he doesn't have enough time to go grow his business. So that's a key piece. The SEO piece, that's a hard one for me to answer. Treon, maybe you can help. But when I look at SEO, SEM, if for some reason a particular campaign isn't working, or for some reason growth is just not happening, I think it's time to have someone come in and look at your approach. Who you're targeting, how you're doing your segmentation. Just that to me becomes a more difficult challenge. Because I don't, you know your business better than anybody. That to me is always the hard part. You know your business better than anybody, and whenever you bring in a professional, a services organization, be it a marketing organization, be it a technology organization, it's going to take them time to learn your business. So that to me, and Treon, go ahead, and Elise, I know the two of you have more expertise around SEO, SEM than I do. So please join in on that one. And the last piece I would touch on is the business process piece. If you're selling out of your store, your walk-in store today, now you're going to open up that business to the world, and that's a great thing. But it will change how you source product, how you manage your inventory, maybe even how you handle your billing and your finances. So that to me is the third component that you have to consider, as well, as in terms of when to bring in a professional, if you will, to help with those business process changes that an online store, that may cause. And it would be a great reason. Would be a great problem to have, right? One of those kinds of things. But I think you got to look at it in terms of those three components from the start. Elise, Treon?
So if I was to interject, I think it's really, especially for small business and startups who have a very, a lot of times tighter budget. Something like Shopify is a very robust engine that can truly scale your product very fast and well. The one thing is that you're not seeing is that even though this out-of-box solution is great as is, there are actually you can customize the code where you would want to hire someone if it's a little bit more outside of your expertise, which is what Glenn was saying. It depends on, how complicated your business is. There are customizable pieces to this that would require someone who has coding knowledge. Then honestly, you might want to consider hiring someone when you want to create a marketing strategy around your store. So everything from prioritizing who your audience is, prioritizing your content, creating those strong copy and call to actions, helping with search engine optimization. Sometimes it is nice to have an outside expert in that area, and also helping you create this strategy and plan that brings your in-person and online marketing campaigns cohesively. So it might be, creating these customer journey experiences that you guys put into your business. So for instance, when someone walks in your door for your brick and mortar store or uses your service, you have this online component where you can send them to either if you give maybe a discount, they walk into your store, you might give them a discount for their next purchase, or you might give them a sample. So if they like it, they can then go online to your store and purchase it. So you're creating this customer journey from when they walk in your door to pushing them online, or when they purchase something, getting their email address and pushing them to the online store for upcoming sales, to write a review. You may need help in creating these marketing strategies that keep pushing your customer to, renew a service or repurchase a product or share their experience with their product, share on social media. So there's this kind of loop that you kind of have to put your customer through that you might need some assistance with or expertise in. Trian, do you have any other addition?
Just two quick little comments, thoughts that came to mind. It never hurts to have an independent third party look at what you're trying to do for even an hour, 30 minutes or an hour. And you know, for any of those that have questions or especially around the customizations, you know, we're happy to talk for 30 minutes or an hour. And it just it can get difficult and complicated when you're trying to solve, or, you know, a specific issue or add something that's new and different. And my suggestion would be is get a professional involved early on, which will keep you on the right path. You'll get it done right the first time, is my point. And that will save you a lot of downstream headaches for sure.
Where would they contact if they wanted to have a free 30-minute consultation?
I can put my contact information in the chat. That's for sure. And I'll just get that out, and feel free to send me an email, and we're happy to talk.
Any other questions before we move on? Please feel free to raise your hand or put your question in the chat.
Yeah, just to reiterate a little bit what Glenn was saying. I mean, just as an example, one thing that we, you know, for one client, an example of something we've had to customize is, you know, we had one client that needed their products to display different prices depending on if you were a customer or a retailer. So that required a little bit of a custom solution that we were able to help the customer with. It wasn't out of the box Shopify, so we had to create a custom solution for that.
All right, looks like there's no question.
Okay, just one thing about the website and about the Shopify site before we go back to the actual PowerPoint. So once we're done here, once we're done creating our page, creating our site, your site is pretty much ready to go. What you would need to do to launch it is add a domain. So if you can transfer a domain if you have one already. You can tie it to Shopify site, or you can order a brand new domain right from Shopify. So by default, Shopify will give you your store name .myshopify.com. I don't recommend keeping that. It's not very professional. It's not very professional. I would recommend you actually get your own domain if you don't have one already, and tie it in the store. So basically, to launch this site, if you're happy with it, make sure, you add domain, and then you can turn off. So we're in this trial mode. So once I select the plan and all that, I'll have an option to turn off the password. So by default, if I go to my website, I have to enter a password, which is a Shopify's way of keeping the site hidden until you're ready to launch. So basically, all you would do is add a domain, remove the password, and you're ready. You're ready to rock. So yeah, that's basically all I have to say about the website. Do we want to? I'll stop sharing. I guess, Glenn, we can resume sharing the PowerPoint.
Sure. I don't know that there's a lot there, but that's okay. Sure. Let me share screen. What did I do?
Right here is fine. Okay. Yeah.
Marketing plan. I think
yes.
Is where I think we've actually talked about most of this.
Yeah.
Already.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best ways to market because the misconception people have about websites, I think a lot of times is the misconception is once I build the website, people will just show up and start. eh, 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 they'll, they'll just show up and it'll show up on Google. And in reality, you have to really try and cultivate a following, try to cultivate an audience. And some of the best ways to do that is social media. If your brand has a Twitter account, you can Google you can search for what are good hashtags to use depending on your industry, and just start constructing content with those hashtags to reach a wide audience. And this is both for your for any social media platform. Um, Email marketing is also great in terms of uh, you know con- letting your customers know that when you have offers to provide them or updates to your company. um, and like I said, there's free resources. Mailchimp.com is free for up to, I believe, 10,000 subscribers, which, I mean, that's a pretty good amount of space to grow. A blog, and we talked about this, but sh- every Shopify site comes with a blog. You can add blog articles, and just they make the searchable content in your site larger, so you have a better chance of showing up in search engines. And you can also have a YouTube channel. I mean, YouTube is the second most searched search engine in next to Google. When people have a question, they tend to search YouTube for the answer just as much as they search Google. So having video, if you're thinking about creating videos, I think that's also a great option to getting the word out on your brand. The search engine marketing, you can always work with a specialist to create campaigns that will run on Google, that will run on Facebook, that are meant to drive traffic to your site.
Let me just also add that I think the county chamber has a number of capabilities and options and opportunities to get your name and brand out there. I know they've been very helpful for us. Treon noticed yesterday we're on the Delaware.gov site for something now, as a result of having the session. So all the different capabilities, all the different things that the county chamber offers is a great way to get your name and your brand out there.
Thanks for the plug.
Hey, sure. I mean, it's working. All right.
Yeah, and I guess other things to consider. I mean, like Shopify does keep track of your orders, but Google Analytics is a free tool to track track visitors to your site. It's easy to plug in, and it's free. So I recommend that you sign up for that if you haven't already. Um, and then just some questions that you want to ask yourself as you're growing. Will you keep and ship items yourself, or will you use a service? There's third-party services that will warehouse your products for you and handle the shipping and delivery of them. And then other things to think about: accounting. Am I good with managing things on spreadsheets, or will I use an application like QuickBooks to help? And then another thing to think about is all your sales channels. Am I happy with selling just on my online store, or I want to bring in Amazon or eBay, or selling directly on social media? These are just things that hopefully you'll consider as you think about growing your business.
Thanks, Treon. So now that Symbiosys is in the water, selling water bottles from icebergs, are there any questions from anybody? We've accomplished our goal of building our site in less than 2 hours. So Elise, I guess I'll really turn it back over to you. Off we go.
Wonderful. So here I am. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing about how, taking us right through from the beginning to the end of how to create and launch your Shopify website. I wonder if there was anyone that was on the call that was actually building along with us. Hopefully that's what everyone was doing while they were being quiet. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat or raise your hand. As a reminder, this whole recording this whole webinar has been recorded. I will share with the group if you guys want to go back and review any of the steps that Trian had brought us through. And I just want to, again, reiterate, Symbiosys has agreed to a free 30-minute consultation for your business. If there's any questions that you want to address with them, or if you want to learn more about the services they offer, Glenn has put his email into the chat, in this chat. If you want to make sure you copy his email, it's
Symbiosis. Yeah.
Consulting.com. So if you want to just feel free to reach out to Glenn if you have any interest in taking them up on that 30-minute offer. If there are no further questions with that, again, I just want to thank you again for your time today, and Trian for becoming from going from a techie to a trainer. This Trian's going to he's becoming a Shopify trainer expert. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Bye everyone.
Thanks everyone. Thanks again, Elise.